IABC Greater Cincinnati strives to be an advocate and a resource for business communicators. And I'm so happy to have with me today Teresa Zumwald. Teresa brings a different angle for our Relevant in a Complex World series because she's owned her own business for 31 years, Zumwald and Company. Thanks so much for joining us today, Teresa.
Thank you, Jaquita, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
What made you decide to want to own your own business?
Well, Jaquita, I like to say it's an experiment that never ended because in 1989, I was looking for a new job. I'd been working at an engineering company here in Dayton, Ohio, and was looking for something else. And I actually landed a position at the University of Dayton as the Director of Media Relations. It was a dream job, but the issue was that was the same time that our first daughter was born. So I was a little conflicted. We had this little baby and we had this dream job. What was I going to do? I gave it a lot of thought and I decided if I ever wanted to start a business, now was the time. So I turned down that dream job and decided to put a shingle out, which I did. And all of a sudden, I was getting work from my former employer, the engineering company. I also started getting work from the University of Dayton. And then my third client was the Dayton Daily News marketing department, writing all kinds of stories for them. So out of the gate, I had 3 really solid clients. So I started doing full-time work from the beginning. And truly from there, the business took off. I mean, I can build a tree from those 3 initial clients of where all my other clients have come from, obviously based on relationships. One person knew somebody else, a lot of referral business. Of course, a lot of marketing as well, and IABC was a big part of that. But I did not know what I was doing in the beginning, but I was willing to learn. I took accounting classes. I spoke with other writers that had started their own business, and before long, I had a full-time solid business that literally just kept growing. Some fun facts: I've worked with more than 90 clients over the past 31 years. I've also done a very big business pivot about 11 years ago. And, you know, most small businesses grow and change over time. You know, the old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And my business is no different. So in 2008, again, this is another IABC story, I attended the World Conference in New York City and attended a marvelous session called 9 Steps to a Killer Speech. And at the time, I was really looking to pivot my business. I had been doing a lot of internal and external comms, but I was looking for something else. So I attended this session at the IABC World Conference and was struck by the possibility of making a pivot to my business to do speech writing. The mentor, who she eventually became my mentor, she was and still is an international speechwriter and speech coach. And after that session at the New York IABC conference, I went up to her and said, wow, I would really like to get more training in this. And indeed, at the time, she was offering training seminars, very much in-depth training on speech writing and speech coaching. Speech writing was a whole different animal. And so I learned it from the ground up. And truly the journalism background made a difference. But it's really a niche type of writing, and you really do need to get training in it if you want to do it the right way. So one of the things that Joan taught us was, you know, it only takes one speech to go from amateur to professional. And I had, like I said, I had a pretty decent client base by that time, but I wrote a speech for a client here in Dayton for the Entrepreneur Center. They help a lot of startups and incubate businesses and get them up and running. It was an anniversary speech for this business incubator, and I submitted it to a very prestigious awards program called the Cicero Speechwriting Awards, and they consider entries from across the globe. And I won my first Cicero Award for that speech. And literally, Jaquita, that's all it took for me to start really building a solid speech writing business. And
so what are some of the challenges and rewards of owning your own company?
You know, some philosophical challenges are figuring out how to drive your own business so that it doesn't drive you, and that can happen. I can attest to that. But there are so many rewards of owning your own business. If you can put up with the challenges, if you can put up with the risks, if you can put up with the uncertainties, the rewards, in my opinion, after 31 years, I can say far surpass those challenges. The other thing you have to do as a small business owner is really protect your time. because that's all you have to sell is your time. And again, if you don't work, you don't get paid. So time is a precious commodity for a small business owner. I also like the ability to choose every single client you get to work with. I don't have to work with people that I don't want to work with. What I do get to do is once you land an amazing client, amazing people, you can work to solidify those relationships so that hopefully you can continue those for the long term. And in terms of a reward, there is nothing more rewarding than having a long-time anchor client, lots of repeat business. You can bring so much more value when you've established those relationships. And again, from a reward standpoint, that is what I love and that is what I value.
Have any of your customers' requests changed or felt different in the last, 3 or 4 months?
The biggest, actually there's two big changes that I've seen. And the first one is that client speeches, as you well know, are going virtual. They're all going virtual and clients need a lot of help with these. I've seen a lot of clients who typically are perhaps pretty comfortable on a stage, be a little less comfortable in front of a little tiny camera lens on their computer. And so I've had a lot of clients reach out for help with that. And some of the same strong principles of communication apply. You've got to have a strong message. You've got to have something to say. You can't ramble, and helping clients figure out what that is and how that storyline is going to go so that their speech is engaging and continues to attract attention of the audience is super important. So communicators have never been more needed in that regard. The second change that I have seen as a result of this moment that we are in is a lot of small businesses are using this as a time to get their brand messaging house in order. And I do want to say that once these small businesses get their brand messaging house in order, that translates beautifully to their strategic speeches. Because if they know who they are and what they stand for, when they do have to give a speech at a conference, at a town hall, at a training meeting, they are much better equipped if their brand messaging is in order. So again, communicators to the rescue, right? For inspiration routinely, and this is free inspiration, I encourage anyone who has to write speeches for their leaders to sign up for a free vital speech of the week at a website called prorhetoric.com. That's PRORHETORIC.com. Each week, every Thursday, you get an amazing speech done by somebody in the world that is considered a vital speech. It's important for some reason. And you can spend 5 or 10 minutes during your lunch hour reading this and getting some inspiration. So How to Write and Give a Speech by Joan Detz. If you want some very practical tips and tactics, that is the book to read. That is the book where you can get a solid process for writing an awesome speech. During times of change, what do your speeches need to look like? If you only read one book, I would recommend this one. It is called Illuminate, and it's by Nancy Duarte and Patty Sanchez. It gives you an amazing blueprint for walking through what a speech about change needs to look like. And I think that's something that needs to be in every leader's toolkit. And of course, I would love to direct folks to my own blog at Zumwald & Company, because I frequently write on speech writing, speech coaching, and leadership communications issues. So hopefully those resources will help folks out when they need some good inspiration in a pinch.
Looking ahead at the short term, let's say 3 to 6 months, what tips or best practices can you share for internal and external communication?
All of us need to become advisors and not order takers. So often we get a request from a boss or from a client that says, I need this. And we don't stop to question if that's what they really need. Because of everything that's going on right now, communicators have a unique opportunity to step into that strategic advisor role. We need to be the ones thinking strategically about what leaders need. And we need to do this before they even ask us for X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. We need to be doing this kind of thinking offline. So if you act like an outside consultant and recommend a path for your leaders, it's going to go a long way. Don't wait to be asked and don't wait to be told. This is a chance to take initiative because everything in our world is changing so rapidly. And people are looking for communicators to experiment. Now is our time to do that. And be aggressive, be bold, be brave. like I say, think about some things on your off hours of what you might do to approach an issue, a communication issue, differently. And I bet you're going to get a lot more leeway than you would during, quote, normal times to give those experiments a try. This is a chance to really do some things that maybe you could not have done, years ago. The only other thing I would encourage communicators, if any communicator is interested in, maybe launching a side hustle business, maybe they want to do speech writing on the side, or maybe they want to do something else on the side related to communications. I've heard communicators starting podcasts and, again, really dipping their toe into the waters right now. I would encourage them to look at the possibilities of what a small business might do for them. And so this is an exciting time to stretch yourself. I know I've purposely tried to take some additional training during this time. It's something that I would encourage other folks to do. And if anybody has any questions on what it really takes to run a business for 31 years, I'm happy to answer questions.
Awesome. I don't think we could have wrapped that up any better than that. Like I said at the top of the recording, I feel like your company, your expertise provides a different perspective on long-term brand, owning your own business for 31 years. That's awesome. So truly appreciate your time you took with me today. For those who don't know, Teresa is the immediate past president of IABC Greater Cincinnati, where she served for 2.5 years. Teresa's been very helpful with me in my current role as president, and this is awesome for me to see a different side of Teresa from her business standpoint. So thanks everyone for watching us today. If anyone has any suggestions or want to sit with me during this type of conversation, please do send me a message in LinkedIn. So thanks again, Teresa.
Thank you, Jaquidra. I really appreciate your time and the opportunity.